Hi, I'm Drew.
And I'm Sam.
And welcome to Drewling Samantics.
Oh, have you been in the wars, mate?
Oh, hello. Oh, you caught me. Cup of tea, and yes, I've got a working injury, Sam.
A working injury.
Yeah. Well, you see, it was curtain call, and we went to dead blackout, and which there was no light. There's nothing. There wasn't even a blue glimmer, which you usually get to see where you are on stage. Yeah. So I ran my hand along the top rope of the boxing ring, found where I was, dipped into the ring because we all take the curtain call standing in the boxing ring, and I caught my head a glancing blow. I thought it was just the rope, but actually it was the metal turnbuckle that stretches the ropes between the corners. So unbeknownst to me, we took the curtain call on all four sides of the ring, clapped the audience, stepped out of the ring, and was standing in the wings. And it was like, crikey, Drew, and I went, have I? I didn't know, didn't notice.
So let's get this straight. But you're doing a show that's all about boxing, where the guys have had to do some pretty serious choreography, and a few shows in, and the only one that's got an injury is you, who doesn't actually have to box anyone.
Who is the boxing trainer as well, ironically.
Oh, mate.
I probably get in and out of the ring a dozen times during the show. When the lights are on, turn the lights off, hopeless. But all is well. I'm absolutely fine.
Mate, it's wonderful to see you, warts and all, or injuries and all. Yeah. Cheers to you. I also noticed that you're not on the normal Drewling Samantics liquid.
Well, it's 2-show day today, so I'll be doing a matinee in a few hours' time. So I'm on the tea. I'm on the actor's tea, and there's nothing in it.
No. Cheers to your tea, and cheers everyone at home. Thank you for joining as always. So I guess I was going to say, how are things going? Painfully, by the sound of it, you're injuring yourself. No, all going well, I take.
Yeah, everything's going. We had a press night which went brilliantly, and we're now into well tucked into our second week. So all going very, very well, and it's still enjoying it. Audience response has been fabulous, which is really, really heartening, because it is all as we've said many times, a Coventry-based play, and the Coventry audiences and the Coventry Irish audiences are loving it. So boxes are being ticked. What about yourself? What have you been up to?
So I've had, I tell you what, I've had a very interesting week. Mainly due to the fact that I am back reviewing again. So I've had, obviously, due to the unwelcome guest, not much was open over the last couple of years. So opportunities to go and sit and get my critique on were fairly sporadic rather than regular as they were previously, and I think I'm right in saying this is my first one of the year, first one of 2022. Wow. I can't remember. I don't think I've been to anything else this year that I've reviewed. I have been to the theatre this year prior to now, but yes. So at the start of this week, I ventured to the lovely Milton Keynes Theatre to see a new play. I believe it's a new play, but it's based on an older French play, a play called Catch Me If You Can, not to be confused with the film or the musical of the same name, film famous for having Tom Hanks and Leonardo DiCaprio. And I'm going to sound stupid now. Is that the original? Is there another? I might be getting confused. No, I think I'm getting confused. I was thinking of the Thomas Crown Affair, which has had a modern and but I'm pretty sure Catch Me If You Can is that one film, which phenomenal film, brilliant film,
brilliant.
This has got nothing to do with it. This is a play, but it's a fabulous thriller, sort of like murder mystery kind of play. Very, very cleverly written, wonderfully performed, and the highlight, or it's not a highlight for me, but one of the highlights for me was that I sat in my seat, and I tend not to look, if I don't know anything about a show, I tend to try and keep it that way, so I don't spoil. If it's a musical, I won't listen to the soundtrack beforehand if I can help it, or I won't. I mean, most of the time you have a vague idea of the story anyway, but I try and avoid reading too much so there are no spoilers, and so it's a fresh new perspective, particularly when I'm reviewing, because I don't want to go in there with preconceptions or already biased in one way or another. So I tend to avoid reading through the program, but I will sometimes flick through if there's a name I recognise and just go, oh, what? But quite often in the sort of plays and stuff, you don't want to know who's playing who, because sometimes it can give names away. But in this case, I just happened to flick through, and a familiar face was staring back at me. And for long time Drewling Samantics listeners and viewers, the name Paul Lavers might ring a bell. He and his wonderful wife Erin were on the show. It must have been season 2, was it?
I think it was 2. Yes, it was. Yeah,
a good few months ago. Anyway, and yes, Mr. Lavers, Mr. Paul Lavers himself, was staring back at me from my program. And what topped it off even more is he was playing a particular role, or he was billed as playing a particular role, but he was also understudying a couple of others. And one of the roles he was understudying, I don't know whether the actor was unwell or unavailable, or it was just his day off or something. But so Paul had stepped up a couple of roles, and so I got to see him performing as a character that he perhaps wouldn't normally have done. But he was amazing. Brilliant and truly brilliant performance. Had the whole audience laughing, as was appropriate for his character. Not other, yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm talking myself into a corner now, aren't I? But no, so the show was fantastic. Really enjoyed it, and I thoroughly urge anyone listening or watching us, if you do get an opportunity, and if it's near you, I think it closes today at Milton Keynes, but it's a tour, so I can't remember where next. Yes. But yes, so go and see Catch Me If You Can. Brilliant play, very well written, very entertaining. So yeah, so that's what I was doing. Anyone wants to read my review, it's on Dress Circle Antics. Just Google Dress Circle Antics, and that's who one of the companies I review for. But yeah, so that was that took up the beginning of my week, and then other than that, a bit of prep work for some stuff that's coming up. I've also had some immersive dinner theatre again. I have to say, I'm missing your face at these shows. We haven't done one together for ages because you're in bloody Coventry. So
well, I'll soon be back, mate. It's sooner than you think.
But yes, no. So a lovely week, and I suppose topped off to an extent with an award-worthy performance by the wonderful Mr. Lavers. So yeah, no, it's been really good, mate.
Excellent stuff. Do I spot a small but perfectly formed segue there, Sam?
Well,
because
yeah,
there is because we had the wonderful Mr. Bibby on last week, Mr. Dave Bibby as our guest, and folks, if you haven't given him a listen, do give him a listen. He's a lovely, funny, warm guy. But of course, we missed an opportunity to talk about the huge, large, rumbling elephant that has crashed across the room since the recent Oscar ceremonies.
Well, yes. Obviously, there's no getting around it. It is everywhere and has been everywhere for a good couple of weeks now. And I don't know. There's almost part of me that would kind of go, well, we shouldn't talk about it because it's overdone. But we are actors. This podcast is about the performance industry, and Mr. Smith, Mr. Will Smith, is also an actor, and said incident was at an award ceremony for performers. So it would probably be wrong of us not to touch on it a little, I guess. A
little bit, yeah. I mean, we are in the middle of awards season now. We've just had the Grammys. And we've got the Oliviers coming up, and then the Tonys after that. So it's Oliviers tomorrow. Yes, they are. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we are in the middle of that season, and there's always discussions around this time, particularly amongst actors, about, you know, are awards important? If they are, what do they say about, you know, the profession and actors in particular? I mean, I heard a comment the other day about the Oscars, and it wasn't about Will, which we'll get onto in a moment, but it was a guy saying, you know, what are award ceremonies, and particularly the Oscars, but a group of millionaires getting together, patting themselves on the back and promoting more films to make them more millions, which, if you're cynical about them, I guess it is one way of looking at it. Are they important? I don't know. You know, I've only been nominated for one award, and that was for a Dublin Play Festival, and I loved the play so much that we did, going up a two-hander, and it was quite nice to have the play recognised, because it was an important play in an important situation. So that was nice. I didn't win. It was nice to sort of have a little nod to the performance. But I don't know, and I probably would be flattered. I don't know about yourself, Sam. I probably would be flattered to be given an award, but I don't do the job for that purpose.
I think anything you were involved in, or anything you are proud of, to receive a commendation, to receive acknowledgement that you have done what you do well, is always a pleasurable experience. It's always nice to know that other people think that what you're doing is good or worthy of recognition. As you say, that's not why we do it.
No,
of course, to win an Oscar, or for me to win a Tony or an Olivier at theatrical, what an incredible thing that would be. You're never going to say, no, I don't want it, because
I don't want it.
No, exactly. But you absolutely don't go into any of this thinking, right, well, this is just for the plaudits. I mean, I say you as a generic. I mean,
yes.
I don't know anyone that has literally gone, right, well, I want worldwide recognition for being famous and being amazing, so I'm going to do this. There is a part of it, and obviously there's an egotistical side to it anyway, because to an extent, if you want people to be watching you, if you want to be the center of attention, then surely you must enjoy that. But actually, on the flip side, we've talked about a few times before, or sort of touched upon the whole, I'm someone else. So you're not seeing me, you're seeing a character. So I'm almost hidden from that. So it's a weird combination of the two. Everyone look at me, but don't look at me. Right?
But don't look at me.
Yeah. Look at me being someone else. And it is a weird, I mean, we're in a weird vocation. We've known that from the start, and we've mentioned it before. But yes, it would be wonderful to win an award. I too have only ever been nominated for one award. I also didn't win. It was a international web film award or something like that. And I'm probably completely wrong, but I'm sure I read that the year I didn't win it is because Ralph Little won it. So, I mean, to be beaten by such a talent, well, yeah, absolutely.
That's
lovely to be nominated. The production I was in, actually, I believe, Joz, we had Joz on the show a little while ago as well. Joz Norris, a brilliant comedian and actor. And he was also nominated for the same thing. I was nominated as, I think it was leading male in a comedy role, and he was supporting male in a comedy role, and he won. And Joz is hugely talented. So yeah, we both had a good time because we were nominated for these awards. And I've been part of short films and other things that have also been nominated, not me personally, but the productions. And it is lovely to win stuff. Even if you're not particularly connected. I did an amazing short film that won an award for best soundscape in a like a film show awards ceremony thing. It's not going to do with me, but I was part of the film. So yeah, that's great. But yes, as you say, you can understand why people might say, oh yeah, it's just the wealthy patting themselves on the back and commending them on each other on getting more wealthy and doing it well, sort of thing. But I think the more and more time progresses, the more these award ceremonies are opening up to new things, and they're casting their net wider, I think.
I think politically they've had to wise up. The whole sort of representation of ethnicity, of gender, new writing, new formats like Amazon and Netflix. I think all that it has been a little bit not insular, but the platforms and the people contributing are wider and broader and need to be seen to be doing good work. So I think to have, this year, Jane Campion was best director. She's been a wonderful director for many, many years, but I think some of her films may be ignored because she was a woman. You could argue that, but she was recognized. What's her name? I've got it written down. Yeah, Ariana DeBosa. Well, for West Side Story, Hispanic, mixed race or whatever. She was recognized, and it's like, okay, people are wising up, and I think that's a good thing. I think also going back to what you're saying, if someone says, oh, I saw that film, it was brilliant, and then it wins an award or something, they go, oh, Joe Bloggs and whoever paying their money to go to the cinema or Netflix or whatever, paying their subscription to see a film that they really enjoyed and they judge to be good, to be recognized as good, then they're going to come back. They're going to go, yeah, I've got a little say in this. The Oscars are not voted for by the public. No. It's the Academy. So going back, we've kind of come out on saying they're a good thing, right? They're never going to be a bad thing. Do you think the actions of Will Smith? Do you think it's hard? Regardless of what he did, do you think he's harmed the Institute of the Oscars, or?
I think we're in a very different world. This modern world looks at things very differently. It's a difficult position to be able to make a real judgment call on the scenario, right? So I will say outwardly, I do not condone violence, and there are always better ways of dealing with situations. Also, the Oscars and other ceremonies like it are very famous for presenters, hosts deliberately touching that blue light paper, stepping over lines. Ricky Gervais is famous for being so controversial, and so you should be prepared for certain things. However, should there be a line? Absolutely. Where is it? That's the vague.
That's difficult, isn't it?
Essentially, what happened. Obviously, everyone has seen it. I imagine everyone watching it hasn't seen it. But to summarize for discussion purposes, Chris Rock told a joke about Will Smith's wife, which highlighted a medical condition that is out of her control and is not something that should be found to be funny. That's not something that has never happened before, obviously. The interesting thing, and I obviously read a few bits and pieces about it, and you have to be very careful because media will go whichever way they want and will blow things up. But it is a fact that a few years ago, I think possibly 2016, around that sort of time, Chris Rock had a joke or told a joke or said something again at the expense of Jada Pinkett Smith, Will Smith's wife. So it's not the first time he's picked on her. Again, I'm not making excuses for anything here. So that's something to take into account. He basically said, I think he highlighted the fact that she wasn't there. They'd boycotted the Oscars. I think it was the Oscars again. They boycotted them because of the lack of diversity in the nominations. and he said something to the tune of her not being here is something. He compared it with him sleeping with Rihanna, I think he said, and it's like,
yes, there was some.
Not there, but it's not by your choice. It's because no one wants you there, sort of thing. So it was again quite harsh. So I mean, time has passed between those things, but it is something to perhaps take into account. Again, not condoning violence or whatever, but it's not the first time that Chris Rock has had a poke at, excuse the terminology. Has had a go, or has had a laugh at Jada Pinkett Smith. Other things to take into account, and I'm not really. All I'm doing now is just throwing random things out there. But watching the video back, Will Smith laughs at the comment initially, and then I think he must clock a look from Jada, or is she? I don't know, but something then makes him so incensed that obviously he felt the need to go up and attack Chris Rock. I mean, attack is too strong, actually. I think he slapped him. And this is where there are so many things. I mean, people have said to me, like, I've heard both sides of the story. Was it real? Was it staged? I mean, if it was staged, to what benefit? Are they trying to focus off something else? I mean, but if it was real, also, if Will Smith was that incensed, Will Smith is a big bloke, and I don't know about you, but at no point have I never felt angry and slapped someone. If I felt really angry, and it hasn't happened many times in my life, but if I've been in a scenario, like, you throw a punch, surely. Like, if you want to do some damage to someone, I mean, I don't know. I'm not criticising and saying, no, this is wrong because Will Smith should have decked him.
Should have punched him.
Yeah. There's no blood. It doesn't count. But I don't know. It's just a very weird scenario. And we've gone around the houses to get to the point. But the question you were essentially asking is, has Will Smith done damage to the Oscars or on a broader term, awards ceremonies? And also, what damage has he done to himself, and what repercussions should there be? I think that is obviously the main discussion.
Yeah.
He has obviously lost a lot of support now because of his actions. People do not accept it, do not think it was warranted in any way. On the flip side, he's had a lot of support. People saying he was standing up for his wife. That is a good thing. You should always support your partner, whatever. Others have said it's a bad thing. She can fight her own battles. I mean, you are always going to get contrasting views, and people,
of course,
different ways. I think the big question, and I actually have an opinion on this one rather than sitting on the fence like I've done with most of this stuff. The big question is, people are saying, should he lose his Oscar? Because ironically, the day he got up and slapped someone and made Oscars history was the day he won his first Oscar. He's been nominated 4 times, I think, 3 times.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Ali, the Muhammad Ali film, and was he nominated for Independence Day?
That just come to my mind whether he's. I can't remember, but I mean, yeah.
I think he's got
irony
nominations. That, or it could well have been The Pursuit of Happiness, actually. I can't remember. Either way, he's been nominated a couple of times. He's never won an Oscar before. And then he goes and wins the Oscar for King Richard, the film about the Williams sisters, isn't it? And
their father, yeah.
So I've said all these things, and what I'm going to do now is chicken out and ask you to go first. Where do you stand, Drew?
I don't think the Oscars will suffer because of it. They don't need, I mean, what was it, 94, 95 years they've been going now. They are a respected institution. Yes, there have been controversies over the years. I think they're addressing those, as I said before, widening the awards net. I don't condone violence. I don't think what he did had to be done. Yes, I'm sure Jada is able to stand up for herself. Did he react instinctively? Did he just look at her and go, "She's hurt. I'm going to do something about this"? We just talked about that. I don't know. I'm not in the man's head. Repercussions. I don't think he should lose his Oscar. He has left the Academy, which means he can never win another one.
I thought, now, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I thought that was not the case. I thought leaving the Academy means you can't vote anymore.
Oh, right. Then I stand corrected.
You have to be, and I could be wrong, but I don't think you have to be a member of the Academy to win an award.
You may very well be right. You may very well be right.
All these new winners that have never sort of like it's their debut. They won't necessarily be part of the Academy, will they?
That's very, very true. No, but I mean, I don't think he'll ever be nominated again or win one again after this. I think he's probably, blotted his copybook, unless he does something staggering and then they open their hearts and welcome Will Smith back, in which case that just makes the Oscars look better again.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a case in point. I mean, a couple of cases in point. I mean, Roman Polanski and Harvey Weinstein, for all their, we don't have to go into what they did, their misconduct. They've not been asked to return their Oscars. They haven't been stripped of their Oscars. And given, what happened with Harvey Weinstein and the Me Too, et cetera, that is something that they could have done retrospectively. Can you clean up the reputation? I don't know, but I don't think he should lose it. I think he's lost. It's like you say, it's a 50-50. Yeah. He's lost a little bit of a little bit of his reputation. Then again, in some fields, like you say, a guy standing up for his wife, he may have gained some respect. He may well, I heard somebody say, she's quite capable of standing up for herself. He may have done some harm to women's rights and the strength of women. I mean, it's not the first time there's been a huge controversy at the Oscars concerning a man and a woman. No,
this is interesting because I think I know what you're going to talk about, and I don't really know the ins and outs, and I'm hoping you'll be able to explain. But what I will say is, people have said this is the most outrageous thing to ever happen at the Oscars. It's this Will Smith thing. When actually, if you're about to talk about what I think you're about to talk about, John Wayne, is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Then this pales in comparison. So it's a bit of a...
It kind of does. I mean, it was. I mean, some people may know the story of 1973. Marlon Brando was he won Best Actor for The Godfather, and he famously refused his Oscar and sent a Native American Indian woman to receive it, to refuse it on his behalf. And they met a day before the Oscar ceremony, and he wrote an 8-page speech that's yes, I mean, and you're given a minute, you're not going to get 8 pages out in a minute.
Fast.
Yes, and she was an activist, Shaheen Littlefeather, and she was basically protesting and raising awareness of the treatment of Native Americans in the film and TV, Native Americans in the film and TV industry. And Marlon Brando wrote this 8-page speech in support, and
I bet it was incredible. I bet
it was amazing.
If you can find a copy of it, because
God, if you can find that. But yeah, so basically he said, you can have that moment, reject my Oscar in support of you, and you've got a platform. And it was during that speech, during her, and she went on in traditional Native Indian, I won't say costume, but clothing, garb.
Yeah.
And standing in the wings was John Wayne, who it could be said is famous for killing more Native Americans in his films than anyone else.
Yeah, thank you for adding in his films, just because. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we'll clear that. But he was incensed by her appearance, It is said he was also incensed that someone should refuse an Oscar, but that's hearsay. But he was about to storm the stage and remove her from the stage, and had to be held back, famously restrained by 6 security guards. So she left the stage. He was still protesting. Behind the scenes, she was barracked, booed. There were famously tomahawk gestures made, and all this. So, she was, racially abused. Half the audience cheered. Half the audience, I've been talking about the Oscars audience, half them cheered, half them booed. So there was a whole, but it was a huge thing. It had, gender issues, racial issues, treatment of workers in films. John Wayne obviously felt slighted. Marlon Brando refused his Oscar. So there was a whole thing. It was a big, big moment. Did it harm the Oscars? No, because that was 1973 and it's 2022 and we're still here.
Yeah.
Arguably, John Wayne and Marlon Brando were probably 2 of the biggest stars in Hollywood at that time. They were at loggerheads politically because I think John Wayne was famously very, very conservative, very right-wing. Marlon Brando was a libertarian. So politically, they stood at polar opposites. Did it do anybody any harm? Actually, in the end, probably only Shane Littlefeather, because she wanted to have a film and TV career, and she ended up working as a nutritionist, I think, or a chemist or something. Yes, so she actually, Marlon Brando wasn't harmed. John Wayne wasn't particularly. The only person that really came out of it, losing anything, was her. So maybe in this instance, if you equate the two, maybe the only person coming out of this that's harmed himself is Will Smith. Certainly he's not done Chris Rock any harm. Certainly Jade has not been harmed, and the Oscars haven't,
Well, no, see,
so maybe that is...
and it's... I couldn't... There are bits of me that think it doesn't add up. Why did it happen? Some things there just don't make sense in the storyline. And there are bits that say, there is no way this can have been faked or orchestrated, because to what end? It's only caused negativity. But actually, as you say, when you think about it, the only person realistically that has received particular negativity is Will Smith, which he has brought upon himself, if that is the case. And
if that's the case,
the Oscars will not suffer. They will still go ahead. If anything, and put my controversial cap on, it's just given more exposure to the Oscars. So maybe it will gain more publicity. Not that it needed it, but certainly it's huge in the States, and I don't think it's followed quite so much over here, but perhaps it will be now because of that. Chris Rock, as you say, yes, he got slapped in front of people. Was he humiliated? Probably not, because actually people
probably not
died. And again, it's not something that really needs taking into consideration, but I did read that he sold more tickets to his stand-up show the day after the Oscars than he did in the months prior to that. So I don't know. Talking of ticket sales, I wonder, I know King Richard's been out for some time and it was a great film, great subject. I wonder if going forward, whether that will be tainted with that memory of its male lead, its winning best. Do you know what I mean? Whether that will be remembered as I don't know whether it's affected sales. Probably not, because it's been out for quite some time. So I wonder if it'll be a 50-50. I wonder if some people will deliberately boycott it, like ever watching it, or because of what Will Smith did. I wonder if it will drive some people to watch it and go, what did he do that was so incredible that allowed him to keep an Oscar or to win an Oscar despite fighting someone on stage? I haven't seen it. Current affairs withstanding, I think Will Smith is a phenomenal actor. I think his range and his ability are incredible, and I've always been a big fan of his. I do not condone what he's done, but I will stand by you and say no, he shouldn't lose his Oscar, because that is an award for an achievement that is not connected to how he behaved. I mean, it's recognizing something he'd done before. Again, I've talked myself into a corner. I can't really I don't think he should lose it. But and it's not about comparing, and it's not about, well, she did this, he did this, blah blah blah. But as you say, Weinstein and Polanski, like that is there is no getting around it. What they did, I mean, they are paying the price for it, and Will Smith is not being criminally charged, I believe, because Chris Rock did not want to press charges, which is absolutely his decision to make, and no one else's. I guess the only other thing is, does it give a bad does it leave a bad taste in that will comedians now feel less safe because people think they can get up on a stage and whack a comedian who says something they don't like? I'm not sure people will see Will Smith's actions as an opportunity to go, right, I'll do the same.
No, me either. I mean, there is also the question of, I mean, again, it doesn't legitimize what Chris Rock says or Ricky Gervais, but if you put those people in that position, I mean, I understand that, you know, Ricky Gervais doesn't have to submit a script. He just they let him go for it. Yeah. Which, if you're going to do that, but it does, you know, and you pretty much know what you're going to get. I mean, but it does bring into context a little something that somebody said that I was on somewhere on social media. Somebody says this whole business of roasting people, of legitimately having a go, and you have to sit there and take it, or you have a battle. Is that really something, you know, that I don't know whether it's necessary, you know. I don't know whether we need a public platform for one person just sits there and, you know, rips the shit out of someone or takes the piss out of somebody, and whether they're right or not, and whether it's, you know, whether the other person sits there and goes, I can take it. You know, I don't know. It's a particular thing now, and you know, I don't find it, but I don't actually find it humorous. I mean, I watch Ricky Gervais. I watched, you know, back over on a couple of platforms and gone, you know, wow, you said that, and it was more shock than, you know. And then they think,
I think you've hit the nail on the head there. I think shock comedians exist. Famously in the UK, you've got Jimmy Carr and Frankie Boyle, to name a couple, who say things that are deliberately controversial and create those intakes of breath, and that, did he actually just say that? But they are performing those styles of comedy to people who have chosen to watch them. So people know what they are like. They have consciously decided. When it comes to hosting awards ceremonies, people are watching it for the awards ceremony more often than not. I'm not saying that people don't go, well, this person's presenting or hosting, so I want to watch it. It's like going to a gig because you like the support band. It happens, but it's not the common sort of feel, the
sole purpose.
It's normally the minority that are doing that. So should things be toned down when people are not given an option as to whether they want to hear these things? Potentially, I
think.
But then you're talking about this imaginary line, and where do you cross and where do you not? So
I think there will be a natural toning down of things now. I think people will go, all right, let's take the chance of controversy out of it. Let's go back to being pleasant to each other. The odd little gag. I mean, you know, people have made jokes about, you know, each other over the years, and I think they've just escalated now because you can get away with things. So the more people have got away with, the more the odds have been heightened, if you like, you know, and probably Ricky Gervais has taken it as far as it needs to go, and we can come down from that now. You know, there have been. I mean, Bob Hope was you know, used to present the Oscars a lot. Who's the guy from Harry Met Sally? I can't remember his name.
The
The actor. Terrible. Great actor, but he presented a few, and he used to have a little dig at people, and you know, Stephen Fry has presented the Oliviers over here and BAFTAs and things, and very gently and wittily had a little dig at people, and I think that's fine. I think now we've gone, all right, that's it. That's probably top of the rainbow. You know, that's the top of the mountain. That's it's not going to happen anymore. We'll calm it down.
Agreed.
If that's the case, great. You know.
Yeah, I do think we have to be careful about censorship and freedom of speech. I think obviously it can go too far either way, but almost back to what I said very early on in the show, we live in a very new world, a very different world. Quite often you have to be careful about things you say because things can be misconstrued, things can be taken in the wrong way. We sadly do have the I'm offended brigade, and I'm not trying to upset or offend anyone, ironically, but there are people out there who like to be offended on behalf of others and like to almost find something to be offended by and something that was never meant in that way. Again, thankfully, they are the minority. I think if we can find a happy medium somewhere, then that would be great for everyone. And I think people do have to remember that if a shock comedian who makes their career on doing those things says something that you don't like, if you're at their gig, it's kind of more your fault than theirs. On the flip side, those kinds of people who try and host or present in those ways do need to take it into account that they are there because they've been invited, they are in a privileged position, and not everyone is going to necessarily agree with their views and opinions, so maybe tone them down a bit. Just to quantify that I'm not defending, people also need to know that if someone says something you don't like, you can't go and whack them. So
you can't go and whack them.
There are ways of dealing with things, and we will never know the full story behind things. We will never know if it was partially a stunt. We will never know what has fully gone on. But what we do know is that we've probably talked about it enough, being that a couple of weeks ago. Because of that, I am going to introduce very briefly, because I know you've got to go and get ready, because you're off to your matinee.
Showtime.
I'm going to introduce a very brief new subject, which is known only as Season 5. Because, Drew, this is our last just sort of normal episode of Season 4. Where's the time gone?
Yeah, I don't know, buddy. And it's been an odd one, isn't it? Because we've been here, there, and everywhere. Been at home. You've been in Norwich. I've been here. So you know we've got about a little bit on this season. So,
I mean we've managed to do a little bit of out and about, but mainly it's been us that have been out, but still podcasting in the same way. So, but I think we've had, as always, some incredible guests this season, which means that we've got a brilliant best of guests coming up. I'm so looking forward to going through those clips with you and
that'll be good fun.
Favorites. Some real quality stuff, some amazing guests. We've been very lucky yet again, and I have to say we are very lucky because they're not all set in stone and we've not got it fully planned out yet, but we do have some people waiting in the wings, ready
in
for
the wings
5, and some real top-notch guests coming up. I cannot wait for next season.
We really spoil people, Sam. We really spoil people. It's great fun.
And actually, we're a little bit spoiled ourselves because we get to talk to these amazing people as well. So yeah, I am hugely excited for next season. And I guess on that note, we have to say to everyone, thank you so very much for continuing to tune in, to listen to us, to watch us each week.
Thanks, guys.
Without you people at home or on the road or wherever you happen to be joining us, without you, we wouldn't be able to keep doing this. That said, obviously, please do keep sharing and inviting more people to the Drewling Samantics family. We do want more listeners and viewers. I mean, the more people there are, the more we can bring you. The more elaborate we can get and the better guests we can have on. Not that we've had to struggle there so far because they have been incredible. But yeah, we just want to keep growing. We want to keep upping the ante. And knowing what we've got to talk about next season already sort of booked in and the people that are coming, it's only going to get better.
Bigger and better, my friend. Bigger and better.
Bigger and better. So I shall raise the very remainder of my beer because...
I shall raise my mug, my spotty mug.
Cheers to season 4. It's been a cracker. Thank you, Drew.
Cheers,
thank you, everyone at home. Cheers to the upcoming season 5. But more pressing than that, cheers to Best of Guests and Best of Us, the next 2 episodes we've got coming.
Next 2 eps.
You do not want to miss, ladies and gents, because there are going to be some amazing memories. And for anyone who's fairly new, come along, see what we've been up to, check out what we bring to the table each week, and hopefully that'll make you want to stay. But for now, Drew, have a couple of good shows, mate. Break some legs.
Thank you.
I know you're scarred already, so don't do that. But other than that, I'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Cheers, everyone. See you later.
Cheers, man. Bye.
Thanks again for tuning in. We hope you've enjoyed watching this episode of Drewling Samantics.
If you have, then please consider subscribing to our channel and you'll get notified every time a new video is released. Don't forget, we're also available as audio only. Just search Drewling Samantics in any good podcast app.
Please support us on other social media too. We're on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, and all our links and handles are on screen now.
We love welcoming new followers and subscribers, so please share with your family and friends and we'll be eternally grateful. Stay safe and we'll see you next time.